Today we're going to be talking about ways that you can use a foam roller to help release some muscles in your hips and your low back. These are going to be good if you have hip or low back pain or SI joint pain, any of those kinds of things. So definitely give these a try and I hope these help. First of all, you're going to want to use a foam roller. I prefer the 6x36, which talks about the length of the foam roller as well as the diameter of the foam roller. And then it's up to you how dense of a foam that you want to use. There are the white ones, which are sort of the standard density. Black is a higher density, so more firm. And then there are some that are usually in some sort of color like pink, purple, green, that are softer than the white ones. So if it's something that's brand new to you, you may want to start with something on that lighter end of the spectrum and work your way up. Or if you tend to like deep pressure when you get massages and things, you may do better with a regular or high density foam roller. So let's give this a try and I'm going to show you some of the tricks that I really like. So first of all, getting into some of the areas around the hip can be really helpful. What you're going to do is have this horizontal, and then you're going to kind of sit on top of it. What I like to do is start by crossing one leg, as long as this is a comfortable position for you. And then you're just going to kind of keep your weight back in your hands and roll gently back and forth. I like to shift my weight to one side or to the other side and kind of get in those muscles. You can go down a little bit more to get into the upper part of those glutes. That's a really nice way to get in there. Sometimes I'll stay in one spot and actually move the leg that I have up. And then of course I would switch and do the other side. Another thing that's really good to do here is a hamstring release. So that's trying to get into these hamstrings down in here. They start basically at your sit bone, your ischial tuberosity, and then go down further into the leg. But we're just going to focus on the upper part of it right now. So what you can do is get it so that you feel like you're sitting just behind the foam roller. And then again, just support yourself and kind of roll in there. Sometimes I'll cross the other leg to get a little bit more weight into that area as well. So that's an option. And I just try getting in that upper part of where the hamstrings attach, right underneath the buttock. A couple other things that I really like to do here when I'm having low back pain in particular is to kind of get a stretch into that low area just right above the pelvis. So with this requires a little more coordination. You're going to start on your back with your knees bent and the foam roller underneath where your knees are. Then what you're going to do is pull that up so that it's right underneath the top of your pelvis. You want to feel like it's kind of under a bony shelf of sorts that's there. So in this position, what we can do is bring a knee towards the chest as far as is comfortable. With this, you can either get a stretch through the back of that leg that's up towards your chest, coming into the hip, maybe even into the low back. Or if you're really tight in your hip flexors, you may actually feel it on the front of the leg on the other side. If you want to increase that stretch even further, you can pull your heel towards you more, or you can straighten that leg out and just kind of let it hang. So you can see that my hip flexors are pretty tight because my leg wants to stay up there. And then of course switch sides. You can also do a stretch here where you cross one ankle over the opposite knee. Piriformis stretch, but what you're doing is getting a little bit of traction through the low back area at the same time. So I'll hang out there and do the other side. I'll try getting it a little bit lower so it feels like I'm barely on it. And here I find I typically have to keep my hands here or use something to kind of block it a little bit. Otherwise the roller will just shoot out that direction. But I'll bring my knees towards one side just slightly and to the other. I can again bring that leg up in a cross position, and this just feels like it's getting higher up into the pelvis and top of the glutes as I'm doing these particular motions. And then you can also bring both knees towards your chest. And I like to just hang out in this position and get a nice stretch through my low back. Sometimes then I'll also turn this into a bit of a core exercise while still maintaining a little traction on my low back. So I'll think of keeping my core really nice and tight, pulling my belly button down towards my spine just gently so that I'm lifting through my abdominals, and then maintaining that spine position. I'm going to let one leg come down and tap, come back up and tap. So you can see that we can go straight into some of our transverse abdominis progression that is in another one of our videos, but we can utilize that while we're here. And then sometimes I'll also even incorporate a bit of a hamstring stretch. So I can come up and, try to get a straight leg. As you can tell, my hamstrings are a little tight today. Sometimes I'll even bring this down a little bit. I can work on nerve glides here a little. And then to come out of this, just think about holding that core nice and tight. I usually recommend lowering one leg at a time and then bridging up by squeezing through those glutes. Move that roll out from underneath you, and that's it. So hopefully you found some of these different tips and tricks helpful with using a foam roller to release some tension in your low back and hips, and this helps decrease your pain.